gentlemen, the following presentation is brought to you by Mr. Main Event Brian Waters and the real Dwayne Alley. The Wrestling Wrealm, the show for the intelligent wrestling fans. Off the top rope, I dwell in the wrestling realm. Like Jake stay in the snake pit and Kane be in hell. Like Jacob stay in the graveyard and Punk in the shy. Call me Snooker cause I'm super and fly. You can hate all you want, but I'm flossing. The Miz said I'm awesome, and I'm upholding the law just like the big boss man. With Mr. Main Event Brian Waters, the real Dwayne Allen. Toss you over the border like Hernandez, Mandez, pressing the stands. It's the show for the intelligent wrestling fans. Hitman like Hawk, but I'm not from Calgary. I'm all about the bill, so let that gold shower me, empower me like Farouk and the nation. If you don't know your history, then you should change the station. But if you do, you can cruise to YouTube / the wrestling realm. Your lessons are stale. Say the same old lines, man, you destined to fail. Like the Shockmaster or the wrestler Nails. I'm a heartbreak kid, and my bid to be champion is unmatched. Anybody step, I'm face planting them. With Mr. Main Event and the real Dwayne, you the sisters of love, we the powers of pain. You see we coming with a spear while you're monkey flipping. It's Brian Waters, Dwayne Allen, and your boy Trenton. And that's just how the story goes. That's just how the story goes. It's the wrestling realm, baby. The Wrestling Wrealm. Mr. Main Event Brian Waters, the real Dwayne Allen. And I'm your boy Trent CMG. You know what it is, baby. Let's go.
So, you know, we talking about the Indies, and we talking about how TNA went from being a competitor to maybe, you know, if they would have stayed like with the indie mindset but constantly trying to build something bigger. Ring of Honor, 10 years in also. We're not seeing them grab your Hulk Hogan's, your Scott Steiners, who's a free agent, you know, Chris Jericho's a free agent. We're seeing them get the guys like, you know, your Rhinos here, your Lance Storm, your Fit Finleys, your workers.
They're getting the true... They're going after the true wrestling fan, because remember, Ring of Honor was a company that was founded on honor. If you notice, they have the 20 count time limit on the outside of the ring. They have things like where you have to shake before the match. You know, so a Lance Storm can appreciate that. Yeah. Lance Storm can go there and just wrestle. Lance Storm can go there and say, "Can I be serious for a minute?" Which was his gimmick, and still have a great match. Rhino can go out there and wrestle with guys and teach them and help build them up. Right. And not afraid to put somebody over. Because if you think about it, AJ Styles was the same way. AJ Styles came to Maryland and lost to Derek Frazier. Now, all means, as much as I love Derek Frazier, you know, if you put Derek Frazier in a match with AJ, you would think, oh crap, this is going to be one of those battles. It was one of those battles that was, in MCW, was like one of the classic battles that will go down. Just like, you know, it was just that good. It was almost as good as Chris Sabin with Derek, Chris Sabin with Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin with Ruckus. It was just as good as all of those matches. It made it stand out. It was like, holy crap. With that being said, Ring of Honor is doing that now. Think about Mondo. Somebody who was in the Spirit Squad in WWE. They never repackaged him. They just let him go. They tried it with Kenny Dykstra, you know, but then what happened to him? Didn't work. The only one that worked.
About Cena.
Yeah. Now here it is about Dolph Ziggler, who's been repackaged, that you don't even remember him in the Spirit Squad. Nobody goes out there and chant his chants like they do. People do in ROH when they come to Baltimore chant Mikey, but he laughs about it. But then he goes out there and entertains you and says, "No, it's Mondo."
Forget.
Yes,
because that was the first time. But now you look at it now. When's the last time you heard the Mikey chant? There's Let's Go Mondo, Main Event Mondo.
Right, and the thing is, the table that we just went to, we saw him and Kevin Steen have an awesome match. Now, granted, Kevin Steen, he's good at this, and I'm not against Kevin Steen at all. He's really good at this. He's not as technical as most wrestlers, but he's their champion. And the match that him and Mondo had, Mondo sold it all the way through. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the thing is,
did you see the match when they was in Greensboro, just aired, between Mondo and Davey Richards?
No, it is on my DVR, and I do have to watch it because it did air on Saturday.
Me and my father was watching that, and he was like, wow, you know. And this is somebody who watched wrestling, NWA, WCW, WWF when it was all, strictly wrestling. So it was something, a match that he could appreciate.
Exactly.
Seeing something like that.
And that's what Ring of Honor does. Like, do they have all the glitz and glory of TNA? No. Will they? Yes. 10 years in, I thought they would by now, but they're focusing more on the wrestling. Like, they have the world's, what are they now? Wrestling's greatest tag team. Not the world's greatest tag team, they're the wrestling greatest tag team. Yep. Charlie Hodge and Benjamin. That was a big acquisition for them. Just like, I think it's ironic when Jay Lethal left TNA, his first promo with ROH is that he's back home. This was the company that gave him his start. This is the company that let him be him. Now he can come here, doesn't have to worry about a gimmick, and just be himself.
Yeah.
Which is cool and everything, but the thing is, TNA let you be yourself, but you were irrelevant, and then they made you into these other things, and I guess that wasn't you. It wasn't you being Black Machismo. It wasn't you Mark and Flair. That wasn't him. So that's why he was unhappy with his character, and he left, and now he's in ROH as Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they took somebody like Jay Lethal and made him into it, just like they did with Samoa Joe, Matt Sydal.
Right.
I'm waiting for the day for Evan Bourne to get released from the WWE so he can go back to the independent circuit.
Oh, and he'll fight his brother.
His son.
No, his real one. Not Eddie Edwards.
Fact, if you look at Eddie Edwards is the love child of Evan Bourne and Alex Shelley.
Just look at him. Say love child.
I'm sorry, not the love. He looks like he could be their other brother. Because the thing is,
they don't look alike.
Alex Shelley and Evan Bourne look nothing alike. But when you look at Eddie Edwards, he looks just like both of them. I like Eddie Edwards. I'm a big fan of him. It's just ironic that this man looks like them two. Right. Who's an awesome wrestler as well. And I would hate for him to go to WWE because he wouldn't be Eddie Edwards.
I think
he would be. He would be.
He's got personality. I sat down at the after party with him. We was talking basketball. Eddie Edwards has personality, but I actually was talking about Mike Sydal.
I'll pass on that.
I'm just not a fan of him yet.
I don't know. I mean, because when you see certain things, like when you see certain people do certain things and then other people do it, it's like, obviously it's my, you know what I mean? Just like, for instance, as wild as Jeff Hardy is in the ring, when you see somebody else do a swanton bomb, you're like,
it's not Jeff Hardy.
It's not Jeff Hardy.
So what do you think? We talking about the Indies. Now let's talk about the Shakara Grand Champion making his way in the Ring of Honor.
Eddie Kingston. I was still thinking about Eddie Kingston has paid his dues 10 times over. For him being the first grand champion of Shakara, it's a big deal because if you know the Shakara is real wrestling, lucha libre, all kinds of wrestling. They have a little bit of everything. Okay. It's outstanding. If you ever seen a Shakara match, please watch one. Now, finally Eddie Kingston is there because it works. It's now somebody who can be a thorn in the side of Kevin Steen, unlike he was the thorn in the side for Davey Richards.
Right.
So it works. And the thing is, when you have Roderick Strong, Eddie Edwards, and Davey Richards, those three battling for the title, it kind of got, okay, we've seen this. And then Kevin Steen asserted himself, and now he's the champion. Now you have somebody to be the thorn in his side.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little bit for Eddie Kingston to get over, only because he was over in Shakara, he was over in CZW, he was over in everything else that he's done. And the thing is, Maryland fans really don't know up north wrestlers. Okay. And that's where the problem lies, because look how long it took Sabian, Black G's, to actually get over in Maryland. Yeah. First time he wrestled in MCW, it was like, who's that? Oh, that's Ruckus's tag team partner. Yeah. It wasn't a big deal. It was like, who's that guy? Okay, they're Blackout. Same thing with Joker. First time Maryland wrestlers saw Joker, they were like, who's that dude? Oh, he's in Blackout too? Oh, that's Ruckus's boy. Now the same thing. A lot of people don't know that Eddie Kingston is one of the original members of Blackout. Yeah. So I think what ROH needs to do is bring Robbie in as his manager to help get him over. Only because Robbie,
people are familiar with him down here.
Robbie can go out there and say, screw your life, and you will remember it all night. It's something about the way that Robbie Marino captivates the audience and the way that he gets you. You either going to like the guy or you're going to hate him, and you're like, I want to see him again. Yeah. Either way.
You want to see him get beat up.
You want to see him come out there and talk trash. Not to mention, he's an outstanding wrestler, too.
Robbie is a WWE caliber guy. When it comes to that microphone, probably the best I'm seeing on the Indies. I've had the honor of sitting down with him and Ruckus right here And I mean, I tell you, these guys like Robbie's just
Robbie will captivate the audience, and he will bring you in. And the thing is,
get him back on the show.
Robbie when I heard that RCW is making a return, so when they come back, we'll be able to see it. And you know, he's the RCW Cruiserweight Champion.
Oh,
so
boy.
Why not? But my thing is with Robbie, I think that they need him. Now, I don't think they need to spin the blackout angle, but because remember, Ruckus was there a few years back, and him and Jigsaw and I can't remember who else were part of a stable. Okay. So they really couldn't spin the blackout label, but have Robbie as his manager. That would help be over, and that would be somebody to counteract.
Steam on the microphone.
And I think that Eddie Kingston can hold his own on the mic, but you need a fast talker like Robbie to help push. He would just be that extra, even when they're doing the promos for TV. Mm-hmm. If you have Robbie Moreno there helping with the promo, he'll just be over. And it could be that, remember back in TNA when Christian Cage and Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
Christian Cage can hold his own with his mic skills, and it was just that added extra. And it was something simple as what Christian said, because that's, and the crowd would say, how I roll. Yeah. It was just little things that the crowd was holding on to, and Robbie can help with that effect to help get Eddie Kingston over.
Mm-hmm. So, we're talking ROH, we're talking Indies. Davey Richards said he'll be gone soon as his contract is up. Do you think that Davey Richards is leaving not only just because he wants to go into, mixed martial arts, but you think he's just reached the best he could do and that's it?
You gotta think about it. Davey Richards, and people are laughing when I say this, he kind of reminds me of Ken Shamrock, because remember how Ken Shamrock started with mixed martial arts, then he transitioned to wrestling, and it worked, and now did he go back to mixed martial arts? I think he had another run or something, like he was trying to do it again.
He was, I remember
and
that.
The thing
when
is,
UFC got to mainstream.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, I think that it will be a loss to the wrestling world if he did, but the thing that he's going to have to compete with is his height. Do you really see him even wrestling somebody like Sheamus because of his height disadvantage? Yeah. That's the only thing. Like Rey Mysterio pulls it off, but Davey Richards isn't a high flyer. Right. He's a mat wrestler. He could tear you apart. He could take on a Christian because Christian will work well with him. He could take a Chris Jericho. But then when it came to bigger people like a Triple H, a Sheamus, a Randy Orton, he's going to have trouble with the match because of his height difference.
Well, there's still something from the real Dwayne Allen. He always said that he was just Daniel Bryan, I should say a bootleg Daniel Bryan, because the American Dragon,
the American
Wolf. Somebody comes out there, always look at the kicks, the kick pads.
But remember, Bryan Danielson was there in ROH as the champion, and then when Bryan Danielson disappeared, it was like, oh, who's this guy?
Yeah.
So he kind of replaced the void of. But Bryan Danielson.
I don't see Davey Richards having that same type of personality. Nobody, the people in the back knew what Daniel Bryan could do, but the mainstream audience didn't know. As far as the promos, the yeses, and I don't see that in Davey Richards. To me, his personality seems bland.
Well, see, and the thing is, the only promos he really cut was when he was world champion, saying that he's the greatest, he's all this. He never really had a personality. It's always about wrestling. Mm-hmm. It's always about how he's the greatest and how he's this and how he did that. But it never was a story behind it or why he did it. Mm-hmm. Even with his feud with Eddie Edwards and help me out, Eddie Edwards and Roderick Strong, it never really was a big push. You know what I mean? It was never nobody's personality really came through. It was just pure wrestling. So that's where I think his harm will go. And don't get me wrong, I would love to see him do other things in wrestling. If TNA wasn't so low right now, if you take away those elements, he would be perfect in TNA. Yeah. But he would be perfect bring him in like they did, brought Austin Aries back in the X Division, and then push him to the world title.